So we're just getting ready to carve our neck now, and we've done all our markings on that we need. I'm going to link to a video down in the description and probably up on a card here to Fletcher's Handcrafted Guitars. He has an excellent video all about how to lay out a Stratocaster style neck, but it also works for other necks. It's really good. So I'll link to that to give you the exact details, but just to give you a quick run through of what we've done. We've marked where our first fret is going to be across the neck, and we've done the same with the 12th fret as well. We've got our center line, then we just made a small mark, 5mm either side at the first fret and 10mm either side at the 12th fret, and we've matched up those lines, so that's given us these 3 center lines here. And we've also marked from the end of the neck up here to give us our transition at the heel, and on the side of the neck we've also marked 2/3 of the way down, so that gives us these big chunks along the side here that we can just hog out. We're going to rasp those away. And we've also done our transition here for the headstock, but we'll mainly be hogging material away from here and down as far as here as well. And as I said, it's just these chunks along here will be completely hacked out. You can cut them out, grind them out, do what you like. I use a rasp and it takes away a lot of it, and we'll just be starting from this outer line here down to 2/3 of the way down, and that just gives us our first facet. We come back again, and then we use the next line and we create another facet, and we just keep doing that till the neck gets rounded over. As I said, Fletcher gives a great description of it and shows a great way of doing it. I'm going to go through it quite quickly here, so we'll just start to hog away the first pieces of material and we'll bring it back as we move on. So we're just about to start carving, and just to say, as we said, from our line here 2/3 of the way up, and from our line here we're literally going to be just hogging away all this material. So we'll be using our Shinto saw rasp, which will just really just chew up all this wood, and we're going to be quite brutal to begin with, but then we'll eventually end up refining it. So just to start off, as we said, it'll just be really just hacking away all this material until we start to get to our lines. Okay, so we've just taken off those 2 sides like we said, and that now creates, we now have this edge and this edge, which are 2 facets, and we also have our center line here. So if we take our center line and then we take our facet that we've just created here and we start to take that off, then we then start the whole round over process, and that'll leave us with 2 more facets here, and we can just start to take that off then and just continue doing that until we get the neck nice and round. So we'll just press on now and we'll move on with our next facet and then just keep going like that. So we've just created our next facet, as we said, by taking off some material there, and we now have this new line we've created here. So again, if we just take that off, then it just continues the whole rounding process. And don't know how great the light is going to be at this angle, but you can just make out we're starting to make things nice and round. So we just continue with that, and then we'll just shape it as we said. So we've done most of our facets now, and we've got a neck that's looking quite round now at the moment, and we've just been working on our transitions here as well up into the headstock, just taking off some of the meat here as well, just to make things nice and smooth. So we'll just keep on with that, and we've still to do down at the heel here, and just keep the round over process going. We'll start some sanding and stuff now as well to take off all the sharp edges, and we're just checking as well, you know, we can't feel any flat spots or anything too rough. So we'll just continue on with that now. So this is our neck pretty much done now at this stage. We've gone over the fingerboard with some higher grits, and it's nice and lovely smooth and that. Her neck is pretty much, it is shaped. Just a small little bit of sanding to refine some parts, but it's nice and smooth. And our accent piece of that black strip of veneer under the fingerboard looks quite nice. So we're going to do 2 things, and we've got a different arrangement for the nut than a standard Strat. We're going to be using like a Gibson style nut here, and on top of that as well, we're actually going to use a Gibson style truss rod cover, just because we can, just to make it a little bit different. Just cutting back in here, we do have to fret the neck as well. So the first thing we're doing on our fretting job is we're just taking our fret wire here and we're going to be putting it into our fret bender here, and just to put a radius on it. So you can see now the fret wire is completely curved, and we can use that then. So again, we'll just take another piece here and just put it through. And we now have some radius fret wire that we can use now to fret the neck. So now we're just sizing up our frets and just cutting them off, and then just storing them here until we have all the frets cut. So now we've got all our frets cut out, the next thing we're going to do is we'll take our fret tang nipper and we just put one of the frets in, and you can see that just snips off a tiny little bit of the tang there, just to let it sit nicely over the edge of the fretboard. And so we'll just press on ahead now, and we'll do that with all the frets. So just before we put our frets in, we're just taking a small triangular file here, and we're just opening up the top of the fret slot ever so slightly. So that'll just help the frets sit in a little bit easier as we're pressing them in. It also means if in the future the instrument has to be refretted, that they'll actually come out a bit easier without chipping away all of the sides. So instead we're just taking off a small bit on the edge, and we'll just do that for all of the fret slots and get ready to start installing our frets. So we're just getting ready to press our frets in now, and what we're going to do is we've got a small syringe here filled with some glue, which is leaking, and we're just going to put a small amount into the fret slot, then put our frets in, and then just use our fretting caul here in our drill press to press it down into place. So we'll just show you the first one here. So just a small amount of glue there into each slot, and then we just line up our fret, bring it over here, and then using our press we just push it down into place. Just give it a few seconds, and then we can move on to the next one, and we'll do that for the entire neck. So that's all of our frets in now. So we're just going to leave that a little while for the glue to set up a bit, and then we'll come back and we'll trim all the ends and get ready to do our fret job. So it's been a little while and we've let the glue set up a little bit on the frets here. So we're just going to take our flush cut nippers here and just take off the part of the frets that are overhanging. And we'll just go along and we'll do that all the way on both sides of the neck. So you can see now after we've done that, we've got all these little tiny shards of metal here. So it's really important that we collect all these and get them off the workbench anyway, because you're guaranteed that further down the line, if you leave one behind, you'll end up putting your guitar on top of it and completely ruining a finish, or ruining a customer's finish even worse. So just make sure those are completely cleaned up now and make sure the workbench is completely clear. And now our next step is we've got a file put inside this piece of wood here at a 90-degree angle, and we'll just use that to make sure the ends of our frets are flush with the fretboard. So now that's the ends of our frets all made nice and flush with the surface, and we've got a slight bevel on it. So next up is going to be our fret job, which we'll jump over most of, but it's just the usual. We're just going to level the frets, crown them, dress the ends and that, and then polish them. So we'll just go through that very quickly and we'll bring you back afterwards.